The NBA's MVP award is the most prestigious award in the sport's regular season. Winning an MVP is a way to cement your legacy as one of the game's greats. Winning the MVP trophy is a one-way ticket into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Every single time a former MVP is eligible for the Basketball Hall of Fame, they've made it in. Since 2021, there's been 4 MVPs awarded, and 3 of them have went to Nikola Jokic. The only other winner is Joel Embiid in 2023. Now that we're coming up to the All-Star game, it's interesting. Jokic isn't the favorite. There's a new favorite in town. In today's video, I'm going to talk about who I believe are the top 5 most likely players to win the award and pitch their case on why they should win the MVP. Then at the end of the video, when I'm done pitching their case, I'm going to talk about who I think should win MVP. But I want to hear from you guys. Who do you think will win MVP? The best way for me to come up with a list is by eliminating players who can't win MVP. Since 1985, the MVP has primarily went to a player who's on the top seed in their respective conference. With that being said, it is possible to win the MVP as a lower seed. As you can see here on this graph, you can win an MVP as low as a 6 seed, but it's uncommon. It has been more recent, like 2017 Westbrook won the MVP as a 6 seed, and 2022 Jokic won the MVP as a 6 seed, but it's very rare to see that. So that's why there's no players inside my top 5 who play on a team lower than the 6 seed. Since 2010, there's been no MVP winner who's had a win share below .208 per 48 minutes. But also since 2010, there's only been 3 winners to have a win shares per 48 under .260. And those players are 2011 Derrick Rose, 2017 Russell Westbrook, and 2023 Joel Embiid. So that means I'm going to exclude any player who has a win share below .208 inside my top 5 MVP list. So if you go by both those criteria, the win shares per 48 and being a top 6 seed in a conference, that actually only leaves us with 5 players left for guys who play at least 30 minutes a night. Those 5 players are Giannis, Kat, Evan Mobley, SGA, and Jokic. Shout out Evan Mobley for making this list still, but obviously he's an outlier. He's not going to win MVP, but he's having a great year. So what I'm going to do is add Jason Tatum into this list because Tatum is regarded as a top 5 MVP favorite by almost every single list I've seen. So let's add Jason Tatum instead of Evan Mobley. So now we got our 5 guys. Tatum, SGA, Kat, Giannis, and Jokic. So let's get into their cases. So let's start off with the guy who didn't meet both criteria, Jason Tatum. What is Jason Tatum's case for MVP? It starts off like this. Tatum is the best player on the 3rd best team in the NBA who's just coming off of a championship. Tatum's main argument is that he's a good all-around player. He's one of the best two-way players in the NBA. He's averaging roughly 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists on good efficiency. He's also a main contributor to why the Celtics have the 5th best defensive rating in basketball. Moving on to Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns has been incredible. The Knicks trading for Towns has looked amazing so far. Towns has quietly put up an incredible season so far. He's one of the most efficient players in the league. He ranks 3rd in true shooting percentage for guys who shoot at least 14 shots a game. Yeah, 1 and 2 are guys we're going to talk about later, but still, he's been incredibly efficient. And his numbers have been really good so far. He's averaging roughly 24 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. I think we need to talk about Towns more as being the next best player. The way he's playing this year, he's being the next best player. Okay, so what about Giannis? The 2-time MVP has been outright amazing this year. He's probably putting up his best statistical season of his career. It's kind of crazy to think about a guy who's won 2 MVPs having the best season of his career, and he's definitely not going to win the award. This season, Giannis is averaging 32 points, 12 boards, and 6 assists on good efficiency. On top of that, he did win the NBA Cup. It might not mean that much, but he did win the regular season championship. It's something to add. I think the thing that's holding Giannis back in most people's mind is the Bucks record. But since the abysmal 2-8 start, they've kind of turned it around. Since then, they're 26 and 16. So maybe Giannis can win the MVP. Okay, so let's talk about SGA. SGA just keeps improving. Every single season, he gets better. And that's a huge part of why he has a good chance of winning the award this year. He does pitch a really strong case of why he should win MVP. And his case is simple. He's the best scorer in basketball, on the best team, and he helps contribute to what is a historically amazing defense. SGA is roughly averaging 33 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on the league's second best true shooting of guys who shoot 14 plus shots a game. SGA's been an absolute monster, man. Okay, so let's talk about Nikola Jokic. He's always a hard guy to argue against on why he shouldn't win MVP because he's just so incredible. Jokic is just cementing himself as one of the game's all-time greats. He's basically breaking all advanced metrics. He's averaging a nearly 30-point triple-double on the league's best efficiency on the now 3-seeded Denver Nuggets. That was the knock. Oh, the Nuggets suck. Guess what? He's carrying their ass to the 3rd seed. It's just such an impressive job that Nikola Jokic does each and every night. Okay, so now since we went over the case of why each player should win the MVP, let's compare these guys' stats together. So what I did was pretty simple. I made a chart for each player based on these 10 stats. Win percentage, points per game per 36, rebounds per 36, assists per 36, offensive rating, defensive rating, true shooting percentage, win shares per 48, box plus minus, and PER. I know that was quick, so here's what the chart looks like. If you want to look at the stats for each player, just pause it right now. But what I ended up doing was scoring each player based on each individual stat. What I did was pretty simple. For example, points per game per 36, what I did was SGA is in first, so he gets 5 points. Giannis is in second, so he gets 4 points. Jokic is third, so I gave him 3 points, and so on and so on. I did that for every single stat. So each player got scored out of 50, and that's how I ranked them out of a statistical way. So here's how everyone ranked. Starting in 5th place, Jason Tatum. Tatum scored 20 out of 50. It's been a good season from Tatum. He's putting up basically the same numbers as he had last year. The problem is the Celtics are worse, and last year it resulted in a 6th place finish. So being 5th is still incredible. I see a world where Tatum actually falls out of the top 5, but for today, he's going to be 5th. And I think that's fair for Tatum. I think that's where he's probably going to slot. He might finish 5th. He might finish 6th like last year or 7th. He's going to finish around that range. That's my guess. In 4th place, we got Karl-Anthony Towns. And Towns has been really impressive this year. It's cool that he's going to receive his first ever MVP votes of his career in New York. That's cool. Towns scored 23 out of 50, and I think his season's being overlooked because he got shipped to New York, leaving Minnesota, and that people thought Brunson was going to lead this team and he's the guy. And that really hasn't been the case. Both Brunson and Cat have been amazing, but Cat's kind of taking the team over as he's been the best player this year. I think the thing that's holding back Cat is that his pure statistics aren't as good as everyone else. They're not jumping off the page like everyone else's. Also, the other thing is, Cat's defense is a question mark for sure. The Knicks last year were the 9th best defense in the league, and now they're the 16th in defensive rating. It's not obviously all on Cat, but he's been a part of it just because of his lack of rim protection. In 3rd place, we got Giannis. He scored 28 out of 50, so a sizable jump between Tatum and Cat. The problem for Giannis is that the Bucks are only 4 games above 500. That's just not really MVP level. But from a statistical standpoint and just overall how well Giannis is playing, Giannis could be an MVP in multiple different years. It just happens to be a year where 2 guys are playing at such an historic level. I'm going to show you how Jokic and SGA scored at the same time because it was so similar and since it was such a big jump from the other 3 guys. Yeah, that's right. SGA and Jokic scored very similar. Jokic scored 41 out of 50 and SGA scored 40 out of 50. And it just shows you how close this MVP race actually is. It's so interesting to see how each of their cases are so close to each other. And also, they have 2 completely different ways of getting there. SGA is the best player on the best team while leading the NBA in points, while Jokic is having one of the most statistically dominant season ever. Jokic is carrying a Nuggets team that had a lot of question marks, and now They're the 3 seed. They're winning a lot of games right now. So this is the best time to have this argument. Who should win MVP, SGA or Nikola Jokic? Here's the thing. I'm asking this question as if it was close. And for some reason, betting odds think it's not close at all. And I don't understand why. Well, actually, I do understand why. It's because of narrative. It's pretty common to see MVP voters vote for a guy who hasn't won an MVP if it's close. And that's what it looks like is going to happen this year. It also kind of sucks for both SGA and Jokic that SGA has an 86% chance of winning MVP according to betting odds, because it does a disservice to both those guys. That's not what this race is. This is one of the tightest races in NBA history. Both guys have very compelling arguments. We're kind of being robbed of what could have been such an historic race for an MVP if both these guys have never won an MVP, which is so stupid to think about. The MVP is based off who had the best season that year, and that's not how voters vote anymore in the award. I just want to say, before I get into that, it's really awesome to see SGA and Jokic keep on fighting for MVP because they're so good. And these two guys are both going to be historically great players. But if I had an MVP ballot, I would vote for Nikola Jokic. And that's not a knock on SGA, because I know a lot of people want to see SGA win MVP. I just think what Jokic is doing is so historically amazing. In the league's history, there's been 3 seasons where a person has averaged a 29-point triple-double. Oscar Robertson, Russell Westbrook, and now Nikola Jokic. The difference between Jokic's season and Robinson and Westbrook's season is that Westbrook and Robinson had a 55.4% true shooting. Jokic's is 66.7%. That's on a different planet. The difference between this 11.3% is the difference between Nikola Jokic this year, 18th ranked in true shooting, and Buddy Hield, who ranks 236th this season. It's 2 different worlds. This is the greatest triple-double season of all time, right? Obviously. The other important thing is the MVP is the most valuable player. And Jokic's net rating is 24.4 points. Meaning that the Nuggets are 24.4 points better per 100 possessions when Jokic is on the floor. SGA's is 14, which is in the 96th percentile. That's incredible. But Jokic is in the 100th percentile. And I know, Jokic has the same argument every year. Well, he carries the sorry-ass Nuggets to a good record. Well, so what? That's the same argument. It's boring. But guess what? It's the best argument in basketball because he's the best player in basketball, and he keeps getting better. He keeps evolving his game. The knock last year, oh, well, his three-pointer wasn't that great. Oh, yeah, this year, now he's shooting, 46%? I don't want this to come across as me hating SGA, because I don't. SGA is an incredible player, and I think he will win MVP this year, and I hope he wins an MVP in his career, because he deserves it. He's that good of a player. The problem is, he's not having the best season this year. He's not the most valuable player. He's having an incredible season on the best team, but it's not the best season in the NBA. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It means the world to us. We're really trying to grow this channel out. And also, comment, am I wrong? Should Jokic win MVP or should it be SGA? I want to hear your guys' opinion.